This is the second part to the mini-series on established learnable verb and preposition relationships. Many of these verb-preposition relationships have been formed as the language has evolved over centuries and are very commonly used. The same format used as in Part 1, verbs marked in green, prepositions in purple. We are trying to present the structures in the form of a story instead of a list, so just focus on the verb and preposition relationships and on the context. We'll discuss with each other that Harry did not appear in Part 1. They agreed with each other about this not being fair. They didn't want to forget about Harry, so Morris passed his phone to Cynthia, who in turn gave the phone to Flo. After calling Harry about it being his turn to be introduced. So eventually they collected Harry from the golf course so he could get a proper introduction. Here he is. As our strange little gang waited for Harry's introduction, they looked at each other rather awkwardly. They were all excited about listening to Harry's introduction. They wanted to hear about his story. Harry was perceived to be a character who always was in a good mood, a light character, fun, and perhaps lacking any depth, but once the gang learned more about his history, this changed. This immediately was a surprise to the others. What else has he hidden from them? Harry turned to Cynthia and smiled at her. He almost said something to her, but changed his mind. Harry's father was in the... and his mother preferred her job to her husband's. She trained... for the kind of people who would live in this kind of house. Why didn't Harry say something to someone about this? He has never talked to me about any of this, Cynthia was thinking. When Harry was just 15, he stole a ring from the Maharaja. And was sentenced to be immediately. But his lawyer talked to the Maharaja about the incident and he was pardoned. Harry thanked the lawyer for his services. He wondered about how the lawyer managed to change the Indian prince's mind, but the lawyer chose to remain silent about it. One would think that this incident would have taught to Harry a lesson, but soon after he was in even more trouble. Harry borrowed a silk robe from a friend and bought a golden sash from a trader. He intended to search for the party that was held every year in a secret location. Someone suggested to him that the location was in the forbidden. He spoke to others about this possible location and spent time on his research. He found himself in a and after telephoning someone about something, a mysterious robed man told him about the password which he would need to enter the party. So now he had the location, password, the right clothes, and the determination to get into this highly exclusive event. All of a sudden, Harry wished for his best friend Rummy to join him on this adventure. He texted him about the party and waited for an answer. Rummy worked for Harry's uncle, and Harry was worried about Rummy not being available to take part in this adventure. So Harry decided he would ask his uncle for a big favour. So he called his uncle about giving Rummy the day off from work. He described to his uncle how important this favour was, so he could go on a mission and its success would all depend on Rummy's participation. As we have included Rummy in this story, here he is. When the slightly confused Rummy turned up at Harry's parents' house, Harry had to describe the adventure to him. He lent to Rummy an appropriate satin robe, which Rummy at first complained to Harry about. All of a sudden, Harry covered the table with a large and as they planned their trek to the forbidden caves, they hoped for an adventure of a lifetime. We counted 45 established verb preposition relationships in part 2 of this fantastic story. We hope you got some value from this, and if you did, please watch the finale to Harry's story by watching part 3. The list of verb preposition structures used in part 2 of the story will follow. All the best.